Hello and welcome back to the Leather Lounge. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Sean Longstreet, community advocate for Leather Wallet. This week, we are talking with Jackbinswitch and IanBanksia to learn all about the Rue coin and the surrounding decentralized community that is amassing around it. They've coined the term memefi to refer to the confluence of meme culture and finance. In part one, we're going to talk about the tokenomics and how they learned from other coin launches, including how they designed this to be a fair launch and how they have anti-whale measures as well. We'll also cover how they discovered Stacks inscriptions with the DMT or digital matter theory mints on Stacks. So I'm super excited for this one. Jack and Ian, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks so much for having us, Longstreet. This is awesome. I'm very excited to be here today.
Definitely. Ian, you, if you can, Ian, accept that co-host invite I've sent you.
All right. Let me try to do that as well. Thank you very much. I think thanks for, just being here. And yeah, super cool, super excited to explain more about Rue and what we're doing with Stacks DMT as well.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. So this is kind of related to, inscriptions. I'm really excited about inscribing on Stacks. It seems like people have kind of like dipped their toes and it's been touch and go, so to speak. So this is part one, and we're going to do part two tomorrow. Ian, you can join us today. So it's going to be about half the length, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. But in that time, like I mentioned at the opening, let's talk about how you approached Rue from a tokenomics perspective and how you discovered the possibility of doing DMT mints.
Yeah, all right. So if we start with Rue and how we went about the tokenomics, I think the first aspect is that we are trying to use all the ability that Clarity and Stacks give to everyone to create a readable contract. When you compare with Solidity, for example, where not everyone is able to read the contract, with Clarity, everyone can go on chain and look at details of what the contract is really doing, right? So we're really driven by that trust by verified process and ethos of Bitcoin. So with that in mind, I guess the first detail with the Rue coins that we have a fixed supply, we have 42 million Rues, that's it. We will never be able to mint any more than that. And we launched that as a live pre-swap, which was pretty cool. And probably, Jack, if you want to jump in and help me to remember the details on that as well.
Yeah, so if you've been in the space any amount of time, there's a few things that that are absolutely true, right? One of them is there's a million ways for a token flop. I mean, we've all seen it. We've all owned even well-meaning tokens that flop. And then there's a million ways to rip people off because retail still has a lot to learn in this space because, like I tell people so frequently, we are actually still very early. So we were looking at some things that we know definitely are bad for coins and tokens, and we knew we wanted to avoid that. And then we had some ideas that we wanted to test. So for one, we have a very small supply of Rue, correct? I mean, we had to burn some, so we're at 41.1 million roughly. 5% of that is set aside for airdrops, and we can get into how the Rue airdrop is going to work later. But what we wanted to do is do a small token supply, because all of these meme tokens are into billions and trillions and everything, and there's some psychological stuff at work when you're in this space, and seeing $1 by a meme coin is not something that you see too often, and Rue's going to very easily reach $1. You're talking about 41 million market cap. That's nothing. When you look at the market cap of meme coins in the Stacks ecosystem relative to Solana, it's a joke. You're talking about top 5 meme coins of Solana, about 7 billion. Top 5 meme coins of Stacks wouldn't crack 50 million, right? So, I mean, we know we're going to get there, especially post Nakamoto. Then we wanted to look at distribution. So we didn't want any team tokens. So this is another place that teams will get you. You know, that no one's reading the fine print, no one's advertising the fine print. There's no sense in having a token where the team owns 10% of the supply and their buddies or their Coles or whatever you want to call it, influencers, they own another 5-10% of supply. Like, we know that doesn't work. So that's why we instituted things like anti-whale measures. Nobody, I believe, if I remember, I mean, we launched back in April, so, or I believe it was late March. I think 10,000 RU for what it was at 30 STX. You could get at no. When we did that, at no point has anyone been underwater in that trade since we started. So we wanted the anti-whale measures. We wanted a very good token distribution, and then we like this idea of something being a meme coin if you want it to be. Okay, because we also had some pretty cool ideas to build things out around RU that could be used to create a meme-fi, what we like to call meme-fi kind of ecosystem that RU could be used in, which brings another dynamic into the picture, right? So we wanted to do that. And there's a lot we're working on and a lot we're doing, but the main thing is, if you get right down to brass tacks, we wanted to make a better crypto token. We believe that degens, real crypto, is for the people by the people. There's no one owning a bunch of supply or anything. This is all about the community and giving people a chance to do what they enjoy. And crypto is fun, so we really just wanted to make the best experience. We just kind of call it a crypto amusement park. And so yeah, that's basically a long answer to a simple question.
Yeah, I feel like we're just scratching the surface, really. So when you came up with the concept of launching a token, you're exploring the tokenomics. You were looking at other, like, failed token launches. You came up with 42 million, which is a significantly meme-worthy number. So that like strikes the right balance. You've got 5%. Tell me about the 5% that's set aside for airdrops.
Okay, so again, getting back to how you see other tokens fail and other problems. Obviously, anyone who's going to put faith in you when you're trying to launch something new and do something new, you really do want to look out for those people and hook them up. So we knew we wanted to do an airdrop, but we wanted to do it a little different. So we set aside 5% of the token supply, and I've been in the Stacks ecosystem a long time, and I really love the art and the NFT culture in Stacks. In case you haven't figured that out, I'm a big fan of that. And I really wanted to do something that would kind of kill two birds with one stone. That would kind of get people to notice the art culture on Stacks and the great artists we have, as well as solve this. Well, if we unleash 5% of the supply on our OG holders, are we going to tank the token price? So we talked with some artists and Stacks, really tried to get it out to everybody. This was the opportunity for anyone. Look, we're going to make a custom NFT collection for our original swappers. And the way that it works, and we're actually building that now. We'd have this out this week, but obviously the DMT took precedence over this because this was just too good to sit on. So we have these really amazing artists and OGs like Spaghetti Punks, like Nieta, like Gigapeppy Spaceship Club, Teflon Musk. I mean, all of these great artists made some really cool art, and we've made an NFT collection, and those will be sent out to the original swappers. There's 583 of them, so they can take that NFT and they do what they want with it. They can hold it, and if they hold it until our next release, Joey, comes out, they can then trade it back to us for their share of that 5% of RU tokens set aside for the airdrop. They can sell it on secondary, and someone else might want to buy it because they like the art or because they want the tokens for the airdrop. They can keep it. It just kind of makes it fun. It makes it fun. It makes it dynamic. It solves a problem. And it also did the other part where we're able to shine a light on these other creators and these artists and kind of get people looking at the Stacks NFTs. And I think that's working out splendidly well. I'm very excited about that. If you look at the retweets, we've got amazing art just built up around this token collection, this meme token collection that, you don't really see that very often, right? So this is, again, just trying to make an amusement park for degens. Degens like tokens, degens like NFTs, degens like DeFi. Just trying to bring something really cool to everybody.
Yeah, it goes beyond just number go up technology. It's around culture, building
100%.
Art.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I do want to leave a little bit for part 2 tomorrow. So in part 2 tomorrow, we're going to explore more, learn about more of the artists that you've brought on, and so much of the experimentation that's happening. But today, since Ian is with us, I really do want to help educate people, myself included, about DMT mints, standing for Digital Matter Theory. So, Ian, I understand how you discovered this, and what does it mean for Stacks as well? Because this originally was a concept that people were exploring on Bitcoin, but obviously Stacks is its own blockchain, so we can do the same thing there. So I'm super excited. So yeah, give us the intro, educate us, tell us how you have incorporated this with is it Stacks Space Invaders, something like that?
Yeah. So no, thanks for that. I think the first topic we need to maybe spend like 10-15 seconds talking about is that the way Jack and I operate and the way we're doing this development, we follow a gonzo approach to it, right? So we're trying to do things as we go, and we're trying to discover and understand and almost like tap into the culture of what is happening in real time. And the reason why I say that is that what that led us is to innovate, but it also led us to break a few things in the way. And then using that a bit of a segue to explain the DMT. So we do have that in Bitcoin, right? When everybody decided that saving art or digital elements on blockchain was super relevant, the end goal and the finality is always Bitcoin, because that is the mother chain, the chain that will not die, right? And everyone start focus on that. So every time you talk about Ethereum and every other chain, Solana, and I am a big fan of what those chains did, but you need to keep the memento mori, right? You know those chains will die at some point in time, whereas Bitcoin will live forever. Whereas will outlive us to a certain extent. And then when people start saving ordinals into the blockchain, some other people start realizing that you don't need necessarily only to save art, but you can use the blockchain to generate art directly and save that into the blockchain. And that's where you have the DMT and really cool collections taking place in the ordinals Bitcoin space. And just to explain a little bit of the history on DMT, right? And then coming into Stacks, because Stacks is what we call a high-level programming language, right? And not to get too technical, but what that means is that we operate in a level that is really distant to the bare metal, right? So you have your servers running Bitcoin nodes, and then you have your Bitcoin chain on top of that. Then you have your Stacks miners on top of that. Then you have the Stacks blockchain, and then you have Clarity. So what that allows it is really a readable or human readable programming language that allows you to do, well, many things, including saving data and reading data in a fashion that is visible to everyone and accessible to everyone. And then when we were working for Joy, which is a different project that hopefully will come out very soon, and that was just last week, and I had a bit of a crisis of hay fever last week, and I had to take quite a lot of antihistaminics, and that led me not to work on the DeFi aspect, because I can't really pay attention on numbers when I am high on antihistaminics. And then I start focus a bit more on the art aspect of that. And then
this space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Playing a little bit on how we could put some Joy figures on the NFT representations that we are creating. And then while doing so, I realized, well, you know what? I don't quite like linking NFTs to IFPS servers, right? Which is the standard today. And reason for that is that IFPS servers are usually just someone else's server, right? That can be an AWS server. It can be a combination of machines that someone has on their basement, but it's not as stable or as a fail-proof way of generating and saving data as saving that on chain. And then that was it. That was the genesis of that. And we did a few trials, and we realized Stacks was actually very compatible with the DMT concept. And then instead of waiting for launching that with Joey, we decided, oh, you know what? Maybe that's something the community wants to play around. And we released that as an open source idea. Everyone can build on top of that. And we're doing these Stacks Invaders collections as a first run of that, if you will. But sorry if I digress too much. I hope I am answering the question. And yeah, and then what that is we can put the main link on the Twitter later, or even here in the chat. But what that means is everyone will be competing for one Stacks Invader for each Stacks block, because we're using data from the block itself to generate the art. What that means is just one art will be generated to each block, which
Wow.
which is super cool. I am really excited, and we started that like little less than 24 hours ago, and so far we have about 90 or something mains, which I think we had all blocks since we started, which is pretty cool. People are excited. You can see all the transactions pending. We generate some FOMO as well, because like as a trader or as a crypto user, you don't want only the number to go up. You want the experience. You want the thrill of it. And I guess we're being able to provide that.
Okay, so I want to help educate listeners on how they can get this mint happening, because it's kind of it's mind-blowing for me. So let me just, from my personal point of view, I've always been, as a Stacks artist, not inscribing, but minting on Stacks, and therefore using IPFS. And I think for many people, IPFS, and that's also what NFTs on Ethereum write to as well. It's stored on IPFS, and for many people that's probably okay, but it's going to disappear at some point. It can be pruned, it can be forgotten about, so it really isn't forever.
Correct.
That's why inscriptions and ordinals were so mind-blowing. But with Bitcoin, like, the file sizes are so limited, and it is so expensive, prohibitively expensive for most people. And I am so intrigued by this ability to do inscriptions and DMTs on Stacks, because for me, that's the perfect blend of it's decentralized and it's still directly being stored on the Stacks blockchain. I'm very much a Stacks maxi. I believe in term it's going to be around forever. So for me, that is the perfect use case. So I'm super excited about what this brings. And then what's mind-blowing for me too is that you're bringing in this element of not only file storage, but now art generated based on each block. So I just want to reiterate that right now, Stacks is mirrored to the Bitcoin blockchain. So roughly every 10 minutes, we get a new Stacks, a new Stacks block. So one piece of art every 10 minutes or so. So you talk about like a slow drip, a slow rollout. I don't know how many weeks or months this is going to take for all the art to be created. But when you nudge people toward long time preferences, that's like an ethos that we can take away and borrow from Bitcoin. That's a valuable concept. So I love that you're doing that as well. I also just want to, so something that I've heard both of you talk about is this concept of gonzo, gonzo development. So I just wanted to give some backstory on that. So gonzo, this is a term borrowed from Hunter S. Thompson from gonzo journalism. So instead of like a journalist being just an observer, his style was to go beyond the observer and step into the story and have a direct involvement in the narrative. And we've kind of adopted that term for a gonzo approach of something where it is being like unconventional, and then immersive and unorthodox. So I just wanted to give some context on your adoption of the word like gonzo development for this. Okay, so let me throw you another question. So every 10 minutes or so, we're getting a new piece of art. Who can mint the art right now? What's the process?
So let me back up a little bit, because we just had the GigaBrain perspective from Ian, and then you gave us the artist perspective, and so now I'm going to give you the DGen perspective.
There we go.
On what's going on with space and with Stacks Invaders.
The trifecta.
So imagine this is a first of its kind. You cannot get this on any blockchain other than Stacks. And the only other place where the DMT is happening is on Bitcoin. So that in itself is historic. But look at the distribution of this art collection. I mean, it's every 10 minutes. It's hard to game. Any whales that arrive in the Stacks Invaders collection are going to be whales that are made on secondary, which is the very best way for that to happen, right? There's nobody right out front that can dump on anyone. So I'm super excited to see what these first secondary sales start to look like. And then from now until Nakamoto is this process, if it catches on, if the community likes it, imagine what DMT is going to look like with fast blocks on Stacks. This is going to be, I truly believe that if people here like this is going to bring people from other chains. We have something here that no one else has, and it's going to be super fun to degen with. And I'm especially bullish on this collection because, like I said, the distribution, just like the redistribution of the tokens, they were epic. So if you're going to say, hey man, how do we make a successful token? Well, let's make sure the distribution's as good as it possibly can be. We managed to make that happen with this, and I'm super excited about that. So I can't wait to see it. In terms of getting it, it's super easy. I'm gonna let Ian talk because I'll talk all day if I'm not careful. You just go to the website, okay? You hook up your wallet and you press mint, and I mean it's literally that simple. The hard part is understanding you're probably not going to get it. You know, there's a competition for every piece, so try to be strategic. If every single block gets minted every 10 minutes, at minimum, this is a 34-day long mint process.
Wow.
Best case scenario.
Yep.
So it's just going to be a little strategy. How bad do you want it? And it becomes its own kind of like proof of work. We could call it like proof of degen. Like if you've got a Stacks Invader, you definitely got the proof of degen happening. But yeah, Ian, you want to add on that real quick?
No, I think you're spot on, Jack. And yeah, like you can mint either directly from the contract using the Hero Explorer or from the website. We have a way of keeping the price going up, just because price goes up, and so there is a bit of FOMO building to that as well. But yeah, and the way the Stacks blockchain operate, like, is not so much the higher fee you put, so you guys don't need to go crazy on that. There is a bit of a luck or timing component as well in whether or not your mint will be successful. And yeah, and like right now, again, because this is a new token standard to certain ways, right? So we are working with the guys at Gamma to make sure they are able to display the image correctly. But right now, you won't be able to see it in your wallet as you would see a proper NFT. We will still do the IFPS as a redundancy to display that later in the game, but we're trying to work with the wallets and other tool sets providers in the Stacks ecosystems to make sure everyone can read that from the on-chain function as well. So yeah.
All right, Ian, I'm gonna admit my ignorance here. I'm still trying to wrap my head around, like, what are the differences between, okay, so is DMT is it a form of inscription? Because I would still like to have a better understanding. Can you break it and hit me with that again?
Okay. No, that's fine. Look, it is a form of inscription in the sense that the image is stored on chain, but it is not in the same fashion as you have an ordinal inscription, for example. And reason for that is because in ordinals you can save anything on chain, and the way it does that is by occupying the block space with with that file directly, right? And uses the binary version of the file to do so. So there is a difference there. And Bitcoin DMTs, they are inscriptions as well because they are saved as inscriptions, but they are saved as a JSON file where you just put some, numbers or details related to that particular mint, and then that is revealed later in the game. So the image itself is not saved, but the algorithm to generate such an image is. So there is a two-part fold for the Bitcoin ordinal inscriptions DMT. And what we have in Stacks and the way we're doing that, like right now, we did that just for SVG image, so just for vectors, right? So if you try to save a picture, for example, you could, but you need to to somehow find a way to save that as a vector. Which is all pixels, right? Photography, even analog photography is still just pixels. You have your silver grains, on the film over there that represent the pixels. So that's what an SVG is. It's just maybe not so quality driven as a JPEG will be. But sorry, I digress a little bit. But just going back to DMT and how that is saved on the Stacks blockchain. We're using the smart contract to identify the block and generate that image in real time. So if you go to the Stacks Invader website, you can check the contract, and you have right away you have a preview next Invader button. If you click on that, you can see the image that will be generated in this current Stacks block that people will be competing for.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool, and that's just calling a Stacks smart contract and bringing back that image as an SVG file and saving that into your machine. That's it. That's as simple as we could get. Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah.
Okay, 2 questions. What are the variables that determine what the art looks like?
Yeah, okay. What we are using and what DMT uses are the numbers in the block, right? Mm-hmm. And then you assign that in your smart contract to anything you want, really. What we have in the Stacks Invaders as a first implementation of that is that the last 2 digits of the block will define the color of the art, right? So either it's a blue or a green or a pink, or of course limited to the 0 to 9 definition. So there are 10 colors or 2 colors multiplied by the 10 possible combinations they can have, and the 2 numbers after that, so the 3rd and the 4th, if you start counting from the right, will define the pattern. So we have 5 different patterns that resembles a little bit invaders or monsters or whatever you want to call that, and the last one will be spaceships. And I don't want to give away too much, but there may be something happen about that, right? And the reason why I don't want to give away too much is we operate on a no promises, no roadmap, just surprises approach to our projects as well.
Yeah, they're ongoing evolutions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Okay, last question, because we got to close it out soon so that we can lead everyone to the AMA that follows, and then save some of the magic for part 2. But so my last question for you, Ian, is, what are the limitations when you're doing DMT on Stacks? So file size and then cost, especially as compared to doing that on Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the limitations yet, because to be fair, we didn't explore that much, and probably that's almost like an invitation for everyone to explore that together, right? We do have an open source repository, and just from day one we got like 2 pull requests already from the community that I just approved, which has been fantastic. So right now we just have the ability to save SVGs, so vector files, and the smart contract as it is. I didn't stress that much regarding file size. So there may be a limit over there, which I don't know yet. That's something we need to find out and try to break it. And regarding the file type, in theory, you are not limited by that, but it may get complicated in the way you can or cannot variate the image, right? But that's again, it really depends. I don't have an answer to that just yet. I guess if you want to explore, saving a movie or an audio or a high quality photography, potentially you could. I just don't know exactly how you go about doing that variation regarding the block number. But that's a nice challenge as well, right? So yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Truly, this is the kind of innovation that we see. And when the Nakamoto upgrade was announced that it was going to be delayed, like I could just feel the wind getting pulled out of the sails for everyone. I know that's super disappointing, but at the same time, like, look at what is happening with the innovation in this space right now. Even before Nakamoto, all of us, we've all been here for 2 or 3 years, innovating and exploring, finding limitations, finding workarounds. And then it's just, I mean, we're going to be really stepping on the gas. So thanks for your attention and your vision and most of all, your experimentation here in this space, because man, when Nakamoto hits, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, it's going to be ballistic. Hey, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should actually wrap it up just so that we can have a little bit of more alpha to give you all tomorrow for part 2. But if you do have any more questions, in the pinned tweet, there's the console app. If you are not in console, get in console, because you can throw your questions to Jack and Ian and the rest of the community. This is one of the most engaged and innovative and welcoming communities in Stacks right now, and especially on console as well. So if you're looking for a good group to get in, they're super friendly, super welcoming. They will answer your questions endlessly, as they have done for me. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Love the innovation that you're bringing. Thanks again for joining us here. So yeah, I'm going to close it out, ladies and gentlemen. Head to console, and then tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, for part 2 of Rue, episode 7 of the Leather Lounge. Thank you, everybody.